In the previous step, we demonstrated that the DRED server was not responding before we did register a new node. And we saw that after registering the new node, then the DRED server was responding. So the user interface is here, and then you can see that connected to this preprod wallet, we have now registered as a node operator two nodes, 155 that we will call UK node because the VPS is in the UK, and the one that ends by 84 on this port, that is our US server. Now the next step will be to verify the replication. So we will be verifying the replication locally, where we have a local setup, but also the replication on these two VPSs, so real servers. To do the local replication will be simple. There is just a test that you can run. The remote replication, we need to basically set up the DRED US like we did before, test that works, and we should see that the connection is successful and the DRED server is responding, both for the US server and for the UK server. Then we need to basically send a message to start the replication. That's our solution to the problem of starting up multiple servers without the need to an infinite wait. So it's a bootstrap problem that we resolved just by having some endpoints on the server. And then after this replication is started in two different VPSs, then we can just perform our test. It's another test. It's called the preprod test. And then you will see that everything will be working. Now we start by setting up the two servers and activating the replication. So I copied the commands here for convenience. Let's make them a bit bigger. Okay. So we set up the DRED server US. Okay, this process is online. And now we test it with make test US. Now, since everything is registered, now you see that the DRED server is responding. Then we need to do the same for the UK server. Okay, now we can test make test UK. Okay, also the UK test server is responding. Now, both the processes are activated. We can start the replication. That's the bootstrapping problem solved. We request to start the replication in the first and in the second. Okay. Now you see we were replied that at this point the replication is started for both servers, and we can get back to our test where we are going to run the actual replication test. I'm actually going to do a logging default debug. So we see a little bit more output. Unfortunately, also some mm, connection close errors, but that will be better to see what happens. And then we run the pre-prod test, which is this interesting test, and then we see what happens. Now, at the very beginning, we're told that we use the pre-prod networks, and then we see that we start connecting to the network. Then yes, first we test. We have a success in sending a message from US to UK, and then we got the replication verified. And then we do the same test from the UK to the US, and we verify that the message is received. At this point, the demo is complete. You will see some errors because our infrastructure is not perfect, and of course, some error can happen. But at the very end, you will see that all the three tests are passed in this file, in this replication, sorry, in this pre-prod test demo. So that means that the replication on the VPSs is basically working. And here there is a quick explanation of what you should expect, like start the replication, test environment ready, and that's it. Now, to complete the demo, probably not everybody can do the same test because we own the VPS servers. So we created also some local tests for that you can basically download the project and test the replication yourself. And you can do basically the same, but instead of testing pre-prod, that's our pre-prod, you can do just test a replication. And you basically see the same results. So you will see that it's more verbose because you can then see all the messages. Actually, for local host is too verbose. But basically, let me show you what happens in the replication test. Basically, we have some helper function. We instantiate three DRED client and three DRED servers. These are the local ones. A DRED server local is like a DRED server on a VPS. You instantiate the replication and then you send a message to DRED1. And since it is in the same neighborhood as DRED2, you expect that DRED2 receives the message and replicates. Then we create these three servers. We create these three clients also because we connect to each server through a client. And then we get a handler to see the messages. And then we expect that the servers are there and then the channel exists. And then at a certain point, we try to send a message to a specific a specific server. And then we expect that the same message is received by the second server, and it matches the message sent by the first server. That's basically the replication in a nutshell. A client one sends a message to a server one. The server one replicates the message to the other server two, which is in the same neighborhood. And since also client 2 is connected to the DRED to the other server 2, then client 2 receives the message that was replicated. That's basically it. I would say that the whole replication is demonstrated both for VPSs that are enabled by on an on-chain contract. And we will be sending also the details of the smart contract. So you can find the smart contract is on chain I did not work on it directly, but we have all the smart contract in here. You can find the whole website that powers the DRED operator in the docs folder, and you can find all the source code under SRC, and basically the main components are the DRED server that executes the server and creates a Redis, DRED replicator that takes care of replicating the messages. Of course, there are clients. Test server is needed to start up the operations, and you will have like all the tests that you need to verify that the infrastructure works. So you start from the messages, verifying that it's able to send messages. You continue with testing the Redis work, the replication works, and so on. That's basically it about this milestone. Thanks for checking this, and bye.